Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am your Immortal Afro Josh. You are watching Immortal Afro Gaming, where we will make gaming niche again. I am joined here with my co-host again today, Herbert H3theGame. How are you doing, my man?
I am good, man. I love that intro. Go, go, go. It get me hype every time, man. I'm doing good. Just ready to get into this, man.
Yeah, man, it's a Hydro Thunder announcer, man. Every time to get ready to race, I'm like, I got to put him in there. Man, that game is a treasure, and it's a shame that so many young gamers won't experience it, but well, they can. But anyway, so
Well,
we got a pretty relaxed stream today. Just gonna cover some the usual goings and comings in gaming media. We picked a few stories out. What you got for us today, Herb?
over at IGN, I see that they have this article about Yu Suzuki, and if you don't know who Yu Suzuki is, he is known for creating Space Harrier, Outrun, Virtua Fighter, and the Shenmue series. And this particular article is pretty much going over his career and what he's done for the gaming industry. But you know, I picked it out because he talks about old Shenmue 4, and
Yes,
we
Shenmue.
know that there are some bad things that happened with Shenmue 3. But do we well, actually, Josh, can you go over like the development process of Shenmue 3? Like what happened with that game?
Well, it's very interesting because I forgot what year what E3 was, but they showed it on the stage, and what's interesting is because it was a very powerful moment for Shimu fans
Mhm.
because for those of us who are very familiar with the game, we knew exactly what game it was before they even said anything. They just played a sound that I don't know what instrument it was, like some type of
Yeah,
string,
yeah,
and
like
you
some
just
type of
saw,
Asian instrument.
yeah, and you saw some pink flower petals come down, and all every anyone who was a genuine bona fide Shimu fan knew that was Shimu. There was no lead up, there was nothing, and then once you heard the first note and the first pedal, we already knew like it's finally the third chapter that we've been waiting for like 20 some years because the game hasn't been you know the last official chapter was Shenmue 2 on the that they re-released it on the Xbox when it originally came out for the Dreamcast.
Mm.
So when that was announced, and it was announced during Sony's portion of the conference or whatever, and the thing that got most of us hyped was it was announced via Kickstarter. Like, yeah,
Mm.
Sony gave Yu Suzuki the floor to announce it, which we're fine with, and it was a Kickstarter. The problem with all this, and I've outlined all this in a video I made where I'm pretty much done with the Shimu franchise because of it. But just kind of in a nutshell, is that the idea of Shimu 3 being a Kickstarter exclusive meant that it was something for the fans. It was something for us to back with our money so that we could bring it to life. And when it was announced and it went live, it broke the record for like the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time for a project.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, and it happened in like less than 8 hours, maybe less than a day. I don't know the full details. It's been like a few years, but it was a big deal back then.
Mm.
And I and so many other fans were just like, finally, this is like our moment for gamers. Like, because we've wanted this game more than anybody, and
Yeah.
whatever happened between Yu Suzuki and Sega meant we couldn't have it, and whatever behind the scenes. And we were just happy to be involved with the resurgence of one of the best gaming experiences known to man.
Yeah. I remember. I
Yeah.
remember. Because I remember seeing a trailer too. I was like, man, I thought the game was dead. Is a beat a dead horse, and it's like once I saw that trailer, I was like, oh man, it's on again.
Yep.
Well, uh, after a drought of 18 years, Shenmue 3 was finally released in 2019. Due to its nature as a crowd-funded project, Suzuki said that Shenmue 3 was developed to please the fans. Now, Josh, did Shenmue 3 please the fans? I know it did. It had to with all of the
Mm-mm.
crowdfunding and all the hype. Did it
No,
please the fans?
no, no, no. And it wasn't for the reason that you may think. I'll say like for my reasoning, but I would like to think that my reason was shared amongst most people who backed the game originally. Because like I said, broke records. It was like 6 million at the time. I don't know what the final amount was that came in,
Mm,
but it was a lot of money. And we know making a game of Shimu's stature cost a lot because that game did pioneer a lot of the things that we would see for the first time that would be utilized throughout the industry years later. Like the day night cycle, which was really perfected in Shimu 1,
mhm.
the time cycle with how things like waking up and certain stores opening, NPCs moving on about their day while you went and completed your objectives, being able to talk to just about anyone you see, your ability to analyze things up close and personal. Like that game pioneered a lot of things that are really just kind of gimmicks now, but
Well,
back
it's like,
then,
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, even with games today, you can't do some of that stuff, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, because it was one of a kind, and it's really kind of embarrassing when you consider how old Shenmue is compared to a lot of these newer games. Like for example, the Order 1886. It had a similar gimmick where you could pick up stuff and look at it, but the problem with the Order is that there was hardly any game there worth enjoying or playing. It looked fantastic. It was like one of the most beautiful games you could get on a console at the time on the PS4. But we would see that it's like, oh, okay, this looks cool and all, but this is just a very bare bones third person over the shoulder shooter that's full of QTEs, and it's like not even five. I think at the time it was like 4 hours long. You could beat the game in a day, and it cost $60. Whereas
Oh, it sucks.
Shenmue was an experience.
Yeah,
Like Shenmue taught me things about life an adult at a young age that I kept with me my whole life. Like I learned how to drive a forklift playing that game. And when I got a job as a forklift driver, I was like, yo, my dream.
my dream.
Yeah, it was really strange because even though it was like really mundane, it would seem mundane the most, but it was it was fun. It was like that was a gaming experience like no other.
Yeah,
And
it,
so the problems kind of arise with Shimu 3 when news of a third party uh were coming in to finance the game, which kind of threw off a lot of backers like me. Because we put our money into it. We're thinking that this is our game.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
we want to we funded it. There is no publisher. That's what we a lot of people, myself included, learned a lot about how Kickstarter actually works when it comes to games in itself. So it was interesting. I think it was Deep Silver. They're the ones that backed it, and then a lot of weird messaging started happening. People started asking questions. I was like, well, wait a minute. If the publisher's so willing out of nowhere to financially support this game, where were you guys? Like, if that's y'all could have just made the game
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we're gonna buy it anyway. So it's strange how you got our money, but then our money was used to show publishers how big this game was, and so that they could continue it. And then the communication was getting sour. We weren't really satisfied with the excuses they gave or their reasons for it because it was like, well, this game costs a lot of money to make. I'm like, if it costs a lot of money to make, why didn't you start with a publisher? Because no
Yeah.
one cared until we dunked $6 million into it in less than 4 hours.
Mm.
So it was a real ugh, It's a real
So
slap in the face, man.
well, um, he said if he were to make a Shenmue 4, which he very much hopes to do, he wants to do things differently, Josh. He wants to do things differently for the fans, and he wants to be enjoyable for newcomers.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't really have any bad blood with Yu Suzuki because he's an OG. He's an old dude, and it wouldn't surprise me that how things turned out with Shimu 3 was out of his control,
Mm,
and I don't think he's the one like I really wanted to do. Yeah, I think I believe him when he says he just wants to make Shenmue, but
yeah,
the industry around him at the time and how Kickstarter was being really abused by a lot of these companies, corporations, or whatever. I don't think it's his fault. I don't blame Yu Suzuki. I want to support him. That's why I
yeah,
burned so bad the first time because I wanted. I was like, this is me directly supporting the guy who made the game for me.
yeah,
That's how a lot of us viewed Kickstarter at the time until we learned how it really works. But I don't have an issue with Yu Suzuki. I love him. He's made some of the best games that are like prolific within the industry that will never be matched, in my opinion. And even though I have nothing but malice for the game Shenmue, him bringing it back or being able to make it'll just depend on like what are the details. Because
yeah,
what I wanted was, what a lot of us wanted, the fans wanted him to be at the helm of the project, and whatever money he gets from us is used to make the game. Because we would have been satisfied with the game not being so polished or whatever. Because it's been 20 years. Shenmue is
yeah,
like an older game, and a lot of the stuff that we loved back in the day is kind of tired now. But we would have made an exception for Shenmue because it's Shenmue. But
yeah.
you know,
So me, I don't know. Anytime I think about like a crowd-funded project, I always think it's gonna be doo doo butter. Uh,
I mean, you're
because
not
I've
wrong.
heard, I've had so many. Well, I've heard so many bad things about like all of these crowd-funded projects that always turn to crap. Uh, what was the one? The fake Mega Man. What was that? Mighty Nine.
Mighty Number Nine
Mighty
by
Nine. I heard
yeah,
so much bad stuff about that. There was
yeah.
another one with the creative Castlevania, where at first it turned out like it was crap. It looked like crap, but
Well,
later on he kind of turned it around and made it look better after like
yeah,
people kind of got on his ass.
yeah, Bloodstained
So
Ritual of the Night, which I will defend to this day because that I think that is the perfect example of how it should be.
it,
Because
okay, yeah, yeah,
that's a fantastic game, and I think it should be used as an example to show like yeah, it can be done with the right people doing the right things. Because it was starting to look like a bad idea until
yeah,
he turned that shit around, and
and
it
and
was
that's
magnificent.
that's awesome. But then you got stuff like Shimmy 3 where like, people from what I've heard and what I've seen, it looks like doo doo butter too.
Well,
Uh
but again, like and this is like a big issue with it because when it came out that a company or a publisher was back in the game outside of us, our expectations changed. I'll say, like, I'll speak for myself, but I was more so in like when they first announced the game, and I was under the impression that this is just him, his core team, and what money that we the fans give him is what he's gonna have.
yeah.
I was already under the impression like this game is probably going to be ass in terms of like, how it's played, unless he gets a lot of money, which I
Yeah.
was like, well, he kind of did because, we broke the record. But I was fine with that because it's like, whether it's, because we're expecting a 20-year-old game at this point. The way
Yeah.
Shenmue 3 turned out burned more so because of how things turned out rather than the game itself. Because the game itself, while it is janky, we kind of expected more if you're going to be having the financial backing of a studio or a publisher.
Yeah.
It'd be different if it was just our money, but you got our money and these guys' money. So I was like, okay, so now you got infinite resources, which you should have had in the first place, if that was going to be the case. If Shenmue 3 turned out exactly the way it was going to be without Deep Silver, without any of that stuff, I would have treated that. I would have loved that game all the same because ultimately, what we want is a story. We want
Yeah.
a conclusion to Ryu Hazuki's story. Like,
Yeah.
oh, do we get Londi? Do we find out more about the Phoenix
Well,
Mirror? Who was his father initially?
that Lon D, he been running rampant for years.
Yeah, 'cause he
That boy,
got away with it,
he
and we're just
came
like,
in and did what he had to do, and you ain't seen him since.
yeah, like
Look,
he
hey,
came in.
for 3 games.
And that was what confused me because, like, originally, I think he had the story pinned for six games
Okay.
because it was meant to be a long series, but since it's been like a 20-year gap, I'm thinking like you're probably if a game is just not going to happen, you should just go ahead and write a book or something like an
Yeah.
animated short series. But of course, we wanted the game. And like I said, I would have been fine with a janky game because like it would have been the principle. It's like the fans of like there was so much love for this one game. And this is something that is constantly taken advantage of in this industry that just kind of really kills the drive altogether.
Yeah.
Where a game's fan base is so strong and so financially ready to support it that all it is like all you need is a call to action and we'll be there, even if it's been 20 years. Like we got the time, or we wanted it that bad, and so I just wish things were different with the circumstances for Shenmue 3.
Well,
So it's,
let me
uh,
ask you this. So, do we need a Shenmue 4? Do you
uh,
want or do we need it? A Shenmue 4.
I don't I don't want one. I don't need one because the 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 situation with Shenmue 3 has left such a bad taste in my mouth. I'd rather you just tell me what happened. Just write a story and I'll read it. I'll buy that. But as far as the game goes, it's like, dude, it's over. Like that bridge is burned.
Josh, I need it. I need a Shenmue 4 so bad.
No, you don't.
Boy, I do. I need it because here's the thing, man. Like, so if it's bad, oh my god, I just want to see how people rip it apart. I want to see how bad it's gonna be. But if it's good, hey, you get a proper sequel to your legendary game. But I'm secretly hoping that it's like trash, just so I can make some content on it and laugh at it. I'm gonna laugh at y'all pain now.
Well, I mean, you can do it right now. It's how long has it been since Shenmue 3? And it was like
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't think it even sold that well.
Oh wait,
And
you said it came out in 2019.
yeah, and it's like it. I don't think it really reached any critical acclaim because the whole controversy surrounding the Kickstarter really cut it off at its knees before it could jump to make the launch. Because a game like that, you don't really expect it to just pull in tons of money because Shenmue is a very niche title. It's not something that is gonna make like GTA money because it made most of its money just off of the interest in the Kickstarter. And it would have
Yeah,
been fine if it was just us doing that, supplementing the game. We would have got whatever version of the game we got. We would have loved it all the same because we're fans of Shenmue. We don't care that we're not looking for a super duper brand new. We want GTA 5 level fidelity for Shenmue. Like we don't give a fuck about that. We just want the story to be told and
yeah.
to the same level of quality that it was in 1 and 2.
And to your point, this comment here kind of almost says what you're saying. He said, "Don't even bother with Shenmue 4. Just finish the anime and make 3 and 4 into that."
Yeah, it'd be so much easier because it's like when it comes to a game, there's so much there's so many problems within the industry where it just kind of becomes impossible to follow up with it or to do it in a proper way. The
Mm.
CEOs want 200% profit, or they won't take a chance on it. We see all the layoffs happening with well-known not delivering bank. Yeah, I agree. Was it GZ DR4 EV? But yeah, there's too much.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can switch this up so you can see. Okay, but there's too much. The current industry is too afraid of risk to do anything creative or substantial like it was back in the day, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because that's how a game like Shenmue got a chance. It was a huge risk, a huge financial risk. I'd like to think it paid off because of the impact that that game had on the industry as large. But
Mm.
you
That's
know,
true.
it's hard to say.
Well, like I said, I definitely want to see it. And I'm kind of curious as to how this develops in the future. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent about it. If it materializes into a game, it won't get any of my money because I that was my heart. Like the money I gave it, I gave that to them out of my heart. I didn't just like pay you because I just wanted to exist. I was like, I wanted to be a part of something truly that was one of a kind in the gaming industry that you just don't see. And they robbed that of me. I gave them my money, but they ripped my heart out, and I'm done.
Yeah,
So
they put the incident on you.
yeah, they made me the incident. I financed the incident.
All right, what you
uh,
got for the next topic, Josh?
all right, let's see. Next up, we're gonna be talking about, and this kind of ties into the issues with the industry. So, PlayStation 5 Slim and the the privileges that they're going to allow you to have when it comes to, and here's the thing: 10 years ago, this would have been madness. And this kind of shows me why when it comes to like moving on in the industry, the game we've lost. Like the gaming community has lost. Because 10 years ago, this would have been like, no way in hell, we ain't going for that. Blah 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 blah. The whole Xbox One fiasco. But here we are. Let me do the share my screen. Yes, yes, I know. This is an article from Niche Gamer.
Okay.
PS5 Slim comparison photos that were leaked and the required online activation for disk use.
I heard something about this, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. But it sounds absolutely ridiculous.
It sounds ridiculous, but the problem, and it bothers me so much because this is something that we used to be like the gaming community as a whole used to rally behind with such ferocity that there were consequences. Now we have been so properly tamed that people will like this. The only people who are going to bitch about this are people like me. And people like me are few and far between when it comes to the industry at large because we have strayed so far away from the concept of ownership that something like this is more of a footnote rather than it being like a huge deal like it would have been 10 years ago. Because I'm
Mm.
sure even you heard about the Xbox One fiasco when it first launched. Everybody was like, "You, no way in hell, pay to play used games. You can't access used games. You don't own your games anymore." All of the
Mm.
policies that were highlighting the Xbox One were received negatively, as they should have been. But lo and behold, a generation later, even during that generation, they were slowly implementing things that removed your ability to own your games. And the biggest thing with that is online activation, which means you have to connect to the internet in order to do anything,
Yeah,
which
it's
kind of,
terrible.
yeah,
It's
it just kind of
terrible.
ruins it. So that's the thing with this, and it kind of makes you ask why even bother, because they already have two versions of the PlayStation 5: the Slim without a disc drive, which is your digital console, and then your regular PS5 with one. And so now they're going to re-release a refresh that's going to replace those, and it has a disk drive, but you can't really use it unless you connect to the internet.
I don't
So
I don't understand what is the purpose of that. It's like you mean like the physical disc, you can't use it without being connected to the internet.
yeah, it's one of the things where people think this is progress towards a future in gaming where things like cloud games are going to get so complex and unique and interesting that it wouldn't to them it doesn't make sense to make games that are like physical to where you can get all the data off the disk. They're so big now. Like I think the average size for a freaking Call of Duty game is like 200 something gigabytes, and there doesn't exist a disk on this planet that can host all of that locally for you to play off of because of updates and stuff like that. So even if you
Hmm.
did have like physical media that could hold all this stuff, it wouldn't matter anyway. And the same could be said about Tekken 7. They didn't express this, but the current trend in gaming is that the post-release support of a game can get so massive, there's really no point to having physical media because you're gonna have to connect online anyway to download any patches or characters, updates that the game will need, and you're pretty much stuck here. And so that's kind of where we are right now.
So let me see if I understand. So they're trying to do this so that um uh because the file sizes are too large and they have a lot of updates for each game. I'm trying
That
to figure out
that's
what the point of this is.
Well, see, that's the logic behind it, given the current trend in gaming as of today. Because it's
Mhm.
not like it was 20 years ago, where online was more of a theory, and when it was implemented, it wasn't something to be relied upon because of how unreliable it was. It was more so a feature that could be added versus a requirement.
Yeah,
But
okay.
now, because the internet has become so integrated with our lifestyle, their logic is that okay, well, we can really control how much access to this game you have by making it to where it is something you have to rely on.
Okay,
So
I
yeah,
see.
yeah. So you can play Tekken 8, but there's no way to download a DLC character without connecting to the internet. Because for a short time, I don't know if people remember this, but there was a way for you to get on add-ons for games like during sixth generation Xbox, PS2, GameCube, specifically the Xbox. You could get additional map packs physically from the store to download onto your console. Halo 2. They had a there was like an additional map packs for Halo 2 online. And you can go to the store, buy the disc, download those maps onto it or play off of one of the two, and that was how you got extra content for your game post release. But now that everything's online, they just kind of bombard you with tons of data that where it's really no way, and while they do that while phasing out the physical distribution of things, because if you go into a store like Best Buy, there'll be no games anywhere. They're
Mhm.
off the shelves. T7G, what's up? Welcome to the stream, my man. How you doing?
It's like I get that. Even if they want to do all of that, like what does the damn disk drive got to do with it? It's like
Well,
okay, if you want to take over the world and you want to do all of this and all of that, damn, I can't even use the disk drive. I
well,
bought
see,
I like how much does a PS5 cost? Like $500 some dollars.
give or take.
If I pay $500 some dollars for a damn PS5 and I can't even use the damn disk drive without being connected to the internet, oh my god, I'm gonna be so mad. Like
Well,
it's like it's like the most ridiculous thing ever. I don't
well,
understand that, but if
well,
I had to pay $500 for me not to be able to use my disk drive, like what if I don't have any internet?
well.
What if
See,
I
and
don't have
and
any
that's
internet?
see that was the argument 10 years ago with the Xbox One, but the problem now is that it's become so normalized in the industry that if you were to say, "What if I don't have internet?" People would respond to you like, "How do you not have internet? It's 2023. Literally everything you do is on the internet." Whether the fact that their excuse would be you have a phone that can do a hotspot, you could go somewhere, internet's cheap, you don't have to blah blah blah. It'll be received by them as an excuse.
Bro,
So that's why I say it's pretty much over.
if I
Like,
buy a PS5 and I buy a game, I don't have internet. I want to be able to put that game in that PS5 and play it, and like have it install the game on the disc or whatever, play it, right? And
mhm.
then say I don't have internet. All right, well, I'm gonna go over Josh's house, plug my PlayStation in, connect to the internet, update everything, and then go home where I don't have internet and play my game. But if I can't even play my game without being connected to the internet, it's like you're handicapped. That's what I feel like it is. You're handicapping people. Like, why would you
Mhm.
handicap people like that? It's so stupid.
Yeah, because it gives them more control over the games themselves, how they distribute it. They save a shit ton of money because they're not printing shit. Like, see, one of the original benefits of digital distribution for customers was supposed to be a lower cost. Because you know how games back in the day were $60, $50 a pop, right?
Mm.
The thing with digital, and it's been like that for PC, is that hey, you get the digital version, but instead of getting physical, media, you get the digital one, but it costs less because you're not getting the things like the book, the case, the art, or whatever stuff that
Yeah.
would have like physical value to you that you can do, like you can trade in and make some money off of. Now that element is completely gone, doesn't exist anymore. And that's
Mm.
one of the things that we were fighting against 10 years ago. And it just kept progressing more and more. Like the whole philosophy behind the Xbox One has, at this point in the game, been normalized, and everyone, for the most part, accepts it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I get a PS5, I am not buying that Slim. I'm gonna have to buy the previous version
Well,
because
if you're gonna buy it, you better buy it now because these are replacing those.
that's terrible, dude. Like,
Yeah,
I don't understand. Why would you make so if they were gonna do this, this is how I know like some snake stuff is going on. If they were gonna do this, they should have just did it with the first model. Because this ain't something that they thought of just today. It's something
yeah.
they've been thinking of for a long time. So it seems like I feel like they're setting people up to where they released the PlayStation 5 original, where you don't need the internet for your disk drive. It was like, okay, well, now that everybody liked the PS5, we're gonna sniggly snake this Slim in here,
Yeah, but
and now we're gonna hit you with the okey doke. Is what it
it,
seems like.
it's not even like it's not even snake like behavior at this point because, like I said, 10 years ago was when this was like a true, like, hey, this is the industry is going in a direction we don't like. And that was the last time the gaming community as a whole came together to do anything about it. But if you like I said, because every 10 years you get a whole new market of gamers who are either ignorant or don't necessarily care about what happened before.
Mm,
So it just kind of shows you how most gamers like us, we're being phased out because we're older, we have our own responsibilities, so we're not as keen to get in and fight the good fight because
yeah.
we got our own stuff to deal with. But the problem is, to me, the reason why it's so sad to me is because a lot of these newer gamers, these younger gamers, will never experience gaming the way we did. And usually you could chalk it up to, oh, you're just being a boomer. Of every old person thinks their time was better back in my day, blah blah blah. But I'm like, it really was because we actually got to own our games, and a lot of the games that you know carry these companies were from our era, like fifth, sixth gen,
Yeah.
like like Shenmue, Final Fantasy VII. Like these games were huge. They were big back then, but that was back then when there was no such thing as internet. And if you take that, just the mere mention of Final Fantasy VII and $1 billion out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it's like, how can you tell me we didn't have the best? Of course, we had the best era in gaming. Sixth
Yeah,
gen to me was when gaming peaked because that's when you kept your games. Every game that came out was an experience. There were hardly any real bad games that were like functionally bad. It was just like bad. This game just sucks because the game is silly. But that's nothing compared to the bad games now, where they release a bad game intentionally and patch it a year later, and
yeah,
then it becomes like Cyberpunk, bad game, but wait 3 years. Now it's playable, so now you get to experience it how it should have been when it came out. You would have never dared to do that back in 6th gen because if a game just didn't fucking work, it died, and that studio got dissolved, and that
yeah,
was the end. But like I said, now we're so reliant on online and the internet via patching. You can get away with shit like this all the time, and
yeah.
it's
Guys,
sad.
don't talk bad about my Cyberpunk. I love this game. No, not really. I take that shit back. I take it
Yeah.
back real quick.
I bet if you try to play Starfield day one without connecting to the internet, you couldn't get the 10 GB day one patch. You
Oh
couldn't
my
get the patch
god.
for Spider-Man 2, etc., etc. There are game breaking bugs without that day one patch, aka connect to the internet. Exactly.
That is truth. That is 100% facts.
Yep.
100% facts.
And that's how it's normalized because now gamers expect a day one patch with it in any game they buy now.
Yep.
It's gotten to the point to where it's weird if your game doesn't have one, and that's a sign of, oh, this game isn't finished. It's not fully optimized. And it's like, and again, these are young gamers thinking this. They didn't come from a time where when we got a game, it was done because it
Yep.
had to be done. There was no going back to fix it after release. And that's what I want to go back to because a lot of these gamers really don't deserve it, to be honest. And it's not their fault because they came up in a time where the things like the internet was just normal. We grew up and experienced the internet as it came into being. We had to do the whole AOL dial up
Yeah.
plug that, hey, don't get on the phone when I'm on the computer type shit. So it's a different time. Like, unfortunate, but you know. Oh, he also had a comment up here. I missed this. It asks you to connect to authenticate the game for piracy. That's the excuse they use, piracy. Yeah, when someone asked Don Matrick about DRM and what if someone in a submarine wanted to play Xbox One and it can't authenticate, he said, "I got a system for you. It's a 360." And he knew
Oh
people
my
were
god.
capping just to argue. Yeah, I remember that
Oh
because
my god.
at the time he was like the Xbox guy, the I forgot what you call it, like the person that the spokesperson or whatever. And this was when the Xbox One was coming out, and people were like, "How you gonna tell me to buy a 360? I didn't have a 360 for 7 fucking years. Of course, I want the next console, and you gonna tell me, oh, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, get a 360. I already got."
That's so crazy, dude. Like, I want to drop kick that guy in the face. Whoever that guy is. I don't know exactly who he is, but I definitely want to drop kick him.
He long gone now. He Don Matrick. It was a meme for like, like for the entirety of the Xbox One launch, and then he eventually left and
Oh
fucked
wow.
off somewhere else. And yeah, man,
Wow.
like this has just been something this is just par for the course for today. And when I tell you about my dream of making games niche again, it goes beyond just making the next big thing. I want to make the next small thing, have that junk condensed so much, kind of like, because my thing, I believe that the financial health of a niche gaming industry way more profitable, but not in like the billions of dollar range, but in the creativity range, because it'll allow people to get back to doing what they want, play and make games at their own accord without over some corporate over entity
Mhm.
dictating how a game should be made, how it should be released, what it's going to be released on. Like, this industry is cancer now. It's over.
Mm,
And that's
mm,
why
mm.
something like what happened to Shenmue could have happened, because I'm sure Yu Suzuki, like he older than us. Like he ain't thinking about stuff like patches and stuff. He probably still trying to make games the same way he did 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's kind
But
of what he was talking about too in that article.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any ill will towards him, because like I don't like he wasn't thinking about that. He genuinely just wanted to complete the Shenmue story. But when you try doing that in an industry that incentivizes shit, like, oh, we gonna sell it like this and make sure you do this, and hey, we're gonna come in and give you even more money, but we're only gonna do it once we're comfortable that you can, your project can put up the numbers. It's like if I can put up the numbers on my own, I don't need you.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
oh boy,
Ugly, 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 ugly.
very. But that's just the way it is. But
Lord have mercy.
you want to move on to our final uh news
Yeah, let's do it.
topic. All right, this kind of leans into us specifically. Omni Man and Victor Chevalier, uh, the brand new character for Mortal Kombat 1 and Tekken 8.
So I'll say this. I like Omni Man, and the Omni Man is pretty dope. Uh, but it's just another Superman. So
Well, yeah. But before that, Caveman J95, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Yes, games lose originality and integrity more and more as time goes on. Yes, they do. And it's not just games.
facts.
It's comics and all types of media, movies. But we'll get to that later. But as far as like the concept of Omni Man and Mortal Kombat, I like it. It's cool. He fits. He does. It is kind of silly when you consider that right around the corner we have Homelander, which is just another Superman, and it's nothing that Warner Brothers or NetherRealm can't handle because they made DC versus
Yeah,
Mortal Kombat and they made the Injustice games.
yeah. They're kind of used to making superhero characters.
Yeah, so like this fits right in with them, but I mean, I don't really think there's nothing bad to speak on it per se, but uh, there's no sound because you guys can just kind of see it. But he does look good.
So I'll tell you what I do like. They got the original voice actor from the show to come back
J.K.
and voice him.
Simmons.
Y'all, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's my guy's name from Spider Man? What's the character he played in Spider Man?
Oh, Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. He killed that role, man. He
Oh
kills
yeah.
that role. I don't think anybody can ever top him in that role.
Yeah, he is J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's just he looks like the character too. He looks like the character and he sounds like the character. So nobody can ever beat that or top that.
Yeah, because like it was just like good timing, I think, and just perfect casting, which is why Spider-Man 2 is one of the best movies of all time, and Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man of all time. Yeah,
Well,
just facts are
just
facts.
throw that out there. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, cool, but they're not Tobey Maguire. They're Spider Kids, Spider guys. They're not Spider Men.
I like the Andrew Garfield Spider Man. He's probably my favorite out of the three.
Yeah, he grew on me, but especially after No Way Home or the last one, Far From Home, whichever one it was.
Yeah,
He that's when he won me over because I didn't too much care for his movies, especially the second one. I ain't like it too much. The first one I liked, but the second one I was just kind of like, this movie's kind of silly.
yeah.
But I don't think that's his fault as an actor. Like he worked with what he had.
So we got Omni Man punching, and punching some more.
Yeah, because Superman does that. Punches. He doesn't really do much in the way of martial arts. which like I said, aesthetically, when it comes to like NetherRealms games, I think they're the best at it because this looks fantastic. Like
Yeah, this
seeing this
fatality.
recreate,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
it's really cool. He just enjoying it too. Like that's a
That's
really
dope.
good, like for like of the the scene from Invincible.
Yeah, that's dope. Got trimmer.
Yeah.
You know what I hate about this game though?
What?
It's like some of these like cameo characters are characters that I actually want to play. So it kind of just
Yeah.
like, oh man, I wish I could actually just really just play this character.
Yeah, but maybe some of them will become because like some of them already are cameos and playable, like
Yeah,
Sub
like
Zero and Scorpion.
Scorpion. Yeah,
But I don't know. Like when it comes to that type of stuff, I got to give Mortal Kombat points for always changing it up. They never do the same thing twice, even though I kind of wish they would. Like Deadly
yeah,
Alliance was my favorite Mortal Kombat, and I really think if they had developed that particular version, it would have been a really solid 3D fighting game.
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to Movado coming back, but he's coming back as a cameo character, so that sucks. But it's all good.
Yeah, and as much as cool as this game is, like I won't buy it until it's like cheap, cheaper because just like the whole thing with the gaming industry, the cost for games I just don't think are scaling up properly because it's too bloated. This game is $70, and I'm pretty sure the DLC pack is at least 20,
Mm.
and so I'm already like $90 in the hole.
Yeah,
And
it's
not only
expensive.
that, yeah, and my thing is that it shouldn't be, but the problem with gaming being so big now, it's no longer a niche thing. Mortal Kombat, when it was niche, was more true to Mortal Kombat. But we've
Yeah,
seen the influence of that Mortal Kombat is losing over time when it comes to the things that we like that most Mortal Kombat fans originally enjoyed, like the sketchily clad women that were high. Mortal Kombat girls weren't really that sexy, but they weren't really that cute in the face, but they were sexy. And stuff like that being toned down for people who don't even fucking play the game. Um,
I think me personally, I think that they found a balance kinda in MK1. I actually like the way they look, the female characters looking at game. As far as like the faces, the designs, the clothing, I like it.
well, they do look better, but I'm talking about more as like the tumultuous journey because
Mm.
from when Mortal Kombat was just for Mortal Kombat fans to now where it's for everyone.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah, it
now
definitely
if
has.
you
Yeah,
yeah
you're
the
right.
mass
It definitely
appeal.
has been toned down.
Yeah, and I'm just I often think about what Mortal Kombat would have been like if it was never purchased by NetherRealm, not NetherRealm, but by WB, and if they
Mm.
were just like still their own. Yeah, the games probably wouldn't have looked this good, but it would have been Mortal Kombat as we remember it. Excuse me. But overall, it looks nice.
Yeah, it
I
looks
get it
cool. I
when it's
can't I
cheaper.
can't knock it. Except
Yeah,
that it's just another Superman. And like you said, we got
yeah,
another Superman coming. So we got two
yeah.
Supermans.
Which and they both like either one's gonna play better or exactly the same. It's like I know you're not gonna make Homelander intentionally trash unless because obviously they're syncing these character releases up with the latest release of their respective shows,
Yeah.
Invincible, The Boys, and I'm pretty sure that means that season 4 for The Boys is going to be starting soon since they just wrapped up Generation V, which I actually decided to get into. Tyrell got me to watch it, and it was pretty good. Started
Okay.
off pretty trash, but it got better at the end.
Yeah, I think I've watched seasons 1 and seasons 2 of The Boys, and I need to watch the latest one.
Yeah, it's really good, and well, I'm not gonna say it because I have my opinions about the end of season 3. But anyway,
Oh, Josh, you make me not even want to watch it now. Oh no.
you should watch it because it's good.
The board season 3 is like the Shenmue 3 of the gaming industry. That's how I
Nah,
feel now. It's like, man, it's gonna be terrible.
it ain't that bad.
Oh, okay.
Like that was just a colossal fuck up across the board. If it was that bad, it would be the entire season 3 was bad. But season 3 was like for the boys was like, oh man, holy shit,
Yeah.
wow, all right. Why that happened? The last 10 minutes of the episode, the last but that's just me.
Okay.
But moving on to Tekken 8's new Jean, not John, but John Wick.
Yeah.
I have no
Victor.
idea. Yeah, apparently this guy who voices this character is a big deal. As a stupid American, I don't know what he does, but I'm assuming he's pretty badass at whatever.
I'm a
But
I'm gonna start off by saying I don't like it. I don't like it, man.
you don't
Like
like the character, or
I don't like. So in Tekken, there's been this running trend that a character got to have some kind of weapon, some kind of like teleport or some type of gimmick. It's like they can't just do goddamn karate. They can't just do kung fu. They got to do kung fu and then shoot you in the face, or do kung fu and stab you in the stomach. We got Noctis. He has swords and fucking uh broadswords. And then we had Negan with a goddamn bat with barbed wire. It's like uh even Master Raven had a sword. I don't even think regular Raven had a sword, right?
yeah, they had one, but they never really used it outside of maybe 2 moves: the unblockable and the
I
rage
mean,
art.
like the regular Raven, like the Blade Raven. He didn't have a
Yeah,
sword. He
he
just
had
used
sword.
his
He
hand.
never used it. Yeah, he never used it like in combat.
But Raven, she was actually using that sword, you
Yeah.
know, and teleporting and stuff like that. It's like, so I'm kind of tired of these characters not really doing any type of martial art. They just shooting and stabbing you. And they even did that with kind of like with Nina, where they gave Nina like the pistols, the dual pistols. Now she's shooting you. It's
Yeah.
like, man, I'm kind of tired of that. And like his design is like super cool, and I feel like he's a cool character, but he should be in a different game.
He does look like he belongs somewhere else. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't really have a like. To me, he's just kind of. It's gotten like Tekken has kind of gotten to the point to where I feel like this is expected. I didn't expect this character at all, but when I saw him, I was just like,
Well,
okay,
they they showed him in the leaks, so for a while now we've known that he was coming. Like him and Azucena, like we've known what the whole cast is gonna be. So we've been waiting on this character to see exactly what he can do. And supposedly he's related to Raven, and he's supposed to be in that group. I think he was like the original Raven. That's why he teleports like Master Raven and stuff like that. So
well, that's kind of silly, but I guess
yeah.
whatever.
But yeah, man, whatever happened to the karate, kung fu, and wrestling?
Well,
And, you know,
it's
I'm gonna make a video about this too. But
mm,
you know, I just don't like that. Motherfuckers gotta shoot fireballs out at you and throw
well.
lightning, and I hate it.
It's funny because like a lot of the pushback I hear from that in particular is that Tekken always been kind of weird because Elisa, she taking her head off, rolling it down bowling pins, shooting her arms
And
at you.
I did not like that shit either. I forgot about her. She's like one of the main culprits. That where I
Yeah.
said, why she got to have chainsaws? Why I got to get shot? I think she was like probably the first. Actually, like Yoshimitsu, he was like one of the first, but he was like, his stuff wasn't like outrageous. He only had certain attacks that were like slow, where you pull out his sword. But these folks straight up slicing you to death. Look at that. He's like
like
slicing you to hell.
some Mortal
It's like,
Kombat
yeah,
shit.
this is ridiculous. That boy got a butter knife that he pull out on you. He got a
Shoot you in
pistol
the
that he
big.
pull out on you, and then he got a regular long ass sword that he chop your ass up with. It's like then he teleporting. It's like I don't like it. It's too much.
Like I said, I do think it's a little stranger, but this is kind of the example I think of when I say like there's the game that's for the fans, for like legitimate Tekken players, and then there's the game that's for everybody.
It,
And Tekken 7 kind of did that because it was so popular. It was so successful that I think that's bullshit right there. It's so successful that something like this is just kind of inevitable because it's too much. You can't come off of a successful game like Tekken 7 and not do something ridiculous to try to capitalize off of all that attention you now have.
exactly. And it's like like you said, this character is for people outside of Tekken. Like somebody who's watching Tekken, right? And they don't know
Yeah.
anything about Tekken, but they know who John Wick is. So they see this
Yeah.
guy shooting guns and he got like five different types of knives and swords and doing all of this crazy stuff. It's really gonna bring eyes to the game and that character. So from that standpoint, it's good, but it's obvious that they're trying to peacock the game with all of the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, I keep saying I want to make games niche again because like a niche game only caters to the people who like that game. And don't get me wrong, like I look at Tekken 8 and I'm gonna play it, but I just don't know if I don't have the same eyes for Tekken as I did when I first got into the franchise. Because like I played Tekken
Yeah.
5 and I didn't like it because I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
But Tekken 6 was still more so the same. And I had to get into Tekken. And once I was like in, then I'm kind of like you. It's like, what the hell's going on? Like I know some weird shit's been in Tekken. Like, Elisa being the main culprit who was my main for Tekken
Yeah.
6. But even I gotta be like, look, this guy's like, you kind of see what I mean, where it's like the game is still Tekken, but it seems like it's slowly getting dumbed down, not just in a aesthetic sense where you see all this crazy shit happening, but gameplay wise too, because it's like there's no way Tekken could still be technical with shit like this just being willy nilly all over the
Yeah.
place. This guy's zipping, dashing, disappearing, and it's just like, how come you just can't be -10 like
Yeah.
like you're
And
supposed to be?
I on the lines of that, like with Tekken 8, and most people know that I main Jin, and Jin is supposed to be this jack of all trades type character. So he can do everything, but he's not good at everything. You have to pick the right move for the right situation to do the right thing. Well, in Tekken 8, he's good at everything. It's like there's no reason for you to use any of the other moves in the move list because certain moves are just so strong that you don't really need them, you know? And like you
Yeah,
said, it takes away the kind of the technical aspect of the game to where you really don't need to be technical. You just press the moves and do what you got to do.
yeah.
And I kind of don't like that.
The game's new gimmicks doesn't really allow you to be bad at anything anymore. Like like you said with Jin, let's say if he was short somewhere, you go into heat mode. Now you better get back. He packing.
Yeah,
You get too close, he gonna shoot you in the face. And it's like
yeah.
that for a
Shoot,
lot of
shoot some
characters.
lightning out at you.
Yeah, and then my thing, I don't like. It looks like it's like just automatic when you do certain things. It doesn't look like you. It doesn't require any input for you to do the cool lightning flash kick shit. You just press the button like 4-4. No, it's just like the rage drive, but instead of it being a series of buttons or like a combo, you press it because there's some characters like that in Tekken 7 like that, like Lydia. Her rage drive, she does like 1 2 3 and then kick, and it's really quick. But on here, when they do it 1 2 3 4 5 6, it's like,
Yeah,
God damn, man, it's like a whole combo. I didn't have to press
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, that's
But Victor is he looks cool, um, but he just doing too much. Um, Now, Azucena, I think she doing too much, but the way they designed the character and the personality is so fun to look at that I kind of like, okay, I kind of excuse it because she's doing too much, but it's like it's dope.
entertaining.
It's entertaining, like really. But this guy over
Well,
here, Victor, he just shooting you.
yeah, and he like got the John Wick aesthetic, and I get it. John
Do
Wick is
you
popular.
do you have the Azucena trailer like handy? I just want to see it. That character's
Yeah,
so dope.
I can pull it up. How do you spell her name?
I think
Azus. Yeah, it is.
it like she be dancing on you and dodging and like what is
Hmm.
this character? She's like a better Lucky Chloe and a better what's her face? To be crying all the time.
Oh,
Josie.
Josie.
Yeah, she's like those two characters combined, but she's just like a lot doper to
Yeah, she
me.
has the proper attitude that makes her not annoying or not lame.
Yeah.
She's cool now, and that's kind of how it is with because like I think her gimmick is like annoying, but her herself is like nice.
Yeah.
Like seeing her dance is nice.
Yeah, she is dope. Hey. Boom. Let's go.
It
Hey. Woo.
looks so annoying.
Cold. Cold.
That was pretty cool. I haven't seen that.
Oh. Woo. Woo.
Dancing on you.
Hey.
She seems like a better like gimmicky easy mode character than what's that other chick from Tekken 7? The very button
Oh,
mashy.
Katarina. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
kind of like all three of those characters. She's like a little bit of Katarina too.
yeah, except good. It's like even though that's like annoying, she's so fun to watch. It's like because Katarina was lame and boring.
Yeah,
Don't miss her at all. Sexy, but not anything.
because during the beta, the Tekken 8 beta, man, a lot of people was playing this character. Actually, I was watching Poke Chop. Poke Chop was playing this character. Memphis Legends was playing that character,
Mm.
and very very fun to watch. I think they designed her kind of like what I was saying with Victor, to where people will see her and see her dancing and moving, and they're like, okay, I want to play this character or I want to play this game.
Yeah,
So visually, it's like they designed her with the spectators in mind.
yeah. The only thing, like, because Tekken is Tekken, I, I think it'll like it won't backfire to like any detrimental degree. But once she gets figured out, she'll no longer be fun to watch because then she's gonna be playing like everyone else.
Yeah,
Because like once the gimmicks get figured out, like the whole auto dodge, auto step and stuff, it's like yeah, that was fun the first couple months into the game, but the only people you're gonna get with that now is people who didn't learn the matchup.
Yeah.
So
I
she gonna be sidestepping and blocking like everybody else,
well, I
unless
think she
somebody gets really creative with her.
yeah, well, I think she's gonna get nerfed before the game comes out. That's what I think.
See, that's another issue with this game because like some of this stuff is like clearly ridiculous, and you can see the nerfs coming a mile away, and it's
Yeah,
because
they
like they did it to Kazuya.
oh yeah, they hit him with the nerf bat. They hit him
Yeah,
good with the nerf bat.
and it's just like, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of what this game is supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking the way I'm looking at Tekken 8 is like, hey, fuck it. Like, we're just making shit happen. Like, don't treat
And
Tekken 8 like Tekken 7, where you fine tune everything to where the game stops being fun. But
and
maybe
see,
I'm wrong.
that's what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be balls to the wall. And I said, like when the game came out and their first little test came out, I saw how crazy things were. And I
Yeah.
saw how they were talking about, oh, well, we want the game to be really aggressive. I'm like, cool, but don't be walking back on it when things get too crazy. That's what I
Yeah.
said. When things get too crazy, don't be trying to nerf people and let people keep this and not let people keep that. You you stand on what you got to say, but they
Yeah.
already walking back. They're
And
already
it's some,
walking back on this whole aggressive thing. Like a lot of characters got nerfed. I think chip damage got nerfed.
yeah.
So much has changed from like this previous beta and the one before it. It's like they nerfed it. They toning the game down. They toning down the aggressiveness.
Which
So
is, yeah, like you said, which is kind of counterproductive to the point because my thing is I accept Tekken 8 as its own different thing. Like it's their opportunity to go crazy and not be beholden to like the shackles of Tekken 7. I
yeah,
know we like the shackles because we're used to it, but I'm fine with them going crazy for this game because it's like, hey, you guys earned it. Like Tekken 7, I imagine was an extremely stressful endeavor. Harada probably lost 10 years of his life working on that damn game. And the way I was thinking, he was like, you know what? After hearing y'all bitch and whine endlessly about nerf this, buff that, blah blah blah, yada yada, we made this game survive 4 seasons more than we wanted it to, honestly.
mm,
But it made a lot of money. So what your reward is this fucking bullshit right here, where Jen can swipe your legs and you go flying in the air. Uh, Azucena dodges everything,
yep. And
but
see,
you know,
I thought it was gonna be a game where like everybody's good. Like, ain't no sorry characters. Everybody got like the most powerful things and the most powerful strings. It's like I thought it was gonna be crazy. And I was ready. But now
yeah, it's starting to feel like Tekken 7.
it's exactly like Tekken 7.
Yeah, like toning
Especially
down.
yeah. So we'll see in the future, man. I think they're gonna walk back a whole bunch.
Yeah, and I really don't care because if that's what they're gonna do, I might as well just play Tekken 7. Because my thing is like Tekken 7 is probably the closest we're gonna get to a super mostly balanced Tekken, where everyone has what they need and it's nothing too out of pocket that's like excessive. Because the craziest thing in Tekken 7 that I can think of that was like, hey, this needs to stop is one of the things. There's several, but one of them was Kazumi's down for one, where she just like fanning the whole side of the screen, and you couldn't stop her. You couldn't step it. You couldn't backdash it because she stepped forward. It had so much priority, and she could play the game with just that one move. I'm like, okay, that's not fair. But with this game, it's like you got folks powering up, shooting rockets, guns, and chain chain rays. I don't know what the hell Jack is doing. Freaking dropping Moabs on you. And it's like, okay, that may be cheap, but I'm cheap. Everyone's cheap. Everyone
Yeah.
doing some dumb shit.
And Eris, what did Eris say? He said, if everybody's cheap, it's balanced.
Yeah, it makes you think of that line from The Incredibles, Syndrome. It's like, oh, I'm gonna sell my weapons so everyone is super, and when everyone's super, no one will be. It is such a good line because it's like he's right. And if
Yeah,
and it would be interesting to see a game like Tekken go that direction. And I I just wish the Tekken team wasn't so influenced by people, like fans or the influencers. Because every time I notice, don't get me wrong, I like the main man. I love him to death. But man, when he bitch about something, it almost seems like they take it a little too seriously. It's like, dude, because I noticed like it was like I think it was the second to last patch or the third to last patch where you notice like everyone getting buffed and nerfed like crazy, but there was one guy squeezing through everything. It was Fang Wei. And it wasn't to the very end where people just decided that hey, he's busted. We need to stop Fang Wei. It's like this dude
yeah,
has been
because
the
like
same.
Fang Wei been sliding under that radar for a long time, man. Because
And
everybody looking at Jin and Akuma and like
Kazumi,
Geese, Kazumi,
Devil
uh,
Jin.
Devil Jin, that he just over there in the corner, like escaping getting shot.
Yeah, I know. He not even wearing the vest. He just everybody like, the new characters getting beat up the minute they can release. It's like, no, like what y'all do to my girl Lydia? It's like she was too strong. But bow right in the legs. And Fang Wei, he just like,
Well,
and then
and
the main man had to open his mouth. But Fang Wei, he's like, no, what you doing? Hit him right in his fucking legs. Like that fucking shoulder, too overpowered. What else did they change
like
on him?
the main man, he be speaking facts, but sometimes he be a little bit too passionate about it, and in the way he speaks. He'd be like, man, this has got to go. This cannot stay this way, or it's gonna ruin this character, or this gonna ruin the game. Like,
Yeah,
oh man, this
see,
character
but the,
finna get hit with the nerf bat. That's what I feel like what happened to Jin.
yeah,
Like, he's
because as
like,
soon as
man,
like he
Jin,
started speaking on him,
like, yeah, because a lot of Jin players always get mad at the main man because he always say Jin is like the best character in the game. But at the same time, he always say, "Oh, this character is like the hardest in the game to win with." It's
it
like
was,
he always kind of like contradicts himself when he talks about Jin. But
yeah,
anyway, everybody kept saying Jin was like the best character in the game, and nobody was really winning shit with him. But I feel like you said, the company was probably listening to everybody, and then
mm,
and they started nerfing him just to say they did something to him. So
yeah,
he lost so much stuff, and it kind of made the character not fun to play.
yeah,
Uh, he
and
lost
that's
some things that he didn't had since like Taken 5,
and it's
and
weird because it's annoying seeing people not specifically tied to like the inner workings of the game influencing the game. Because like, don't get me
yeah,
wrong, I know you guys are great. You sell copies of the game, everyone watches you, but I like the time when the people who made the game were the judge, jury, and executioner of what because it's their game. You know, if I've made a fighting game, I wouldn't want some guy who just happens to be popular on the internet bitching about what I did to a character because he liked them, and now
mm,
everyone's like pressuring me on Twitter about how Fink Way is broken. Ah, you know how I be screaming and shit all the time, and it's
yeah,
like, look, guys, back in the day where there was no fucking internet to save the day every time something went south, people worked with it. They became better players as a result. They didn't wait for a patch to come out so that they can finally get their chance to be a better Tekken player. You
yeah.
know, it's like
And I feel like on that line, it's like back in the day when we were playing games, if something was broken, it's like it was broken for a long ass time. And the stuff like broken back in the day and people talking about broken stuff today is like two different things. The difference is like wildly different.
mm,
Um, Today's broken. It's like, oh, the movie's just good.
Yeah,
The movie's good, and people say,
it does its
oh well,
job.
that guy's broken. Like,
Yeah,
no, it's just a good move.
it
And
doesn't take
or
much to.
it could be a great move. But like back in the day, stuff was actually broken to where like you couldn't do nothing. Like
Yeah.
you get hit with something, lose over half your life, and you dead.
But at the same time, like those games bred much better players because they were like, I know you got this move, and I know you're gonna use it because you'd be an idiot not to, and I'm gonna play outside of it. And some people still win, and it's like to me that makes a better player. I'm not saying we need broken moves of that caliber to come back,
Yeah,
but games need to mature long enough to where we need to figure out is it because gamers nowadays are just lazier. It don't take much to break them, but I would like to see a game marinate long enough to where people can be like, okay, this just like you said, this is a good move. It's not a busted move. We've gotten so conditioned to just assuming the the capability of a move based off of one interaction or one weird clip someone posted and their biased opinion because either they hate this character or they don't even know what the move is actually used for or its utility. Because I'd like to think that the developers of the game put that in there for a reason and it wasn't just a slip up, especially nowadays where most things are deliberate and how anal the community is. That wasn't an accident. Like that movie wasn't meant to be. It wasn't intentionally. Was like, haha, we're gonna ruin the game.
yeah.
Versus back then where I think it was like Tekken 2 where King's down for one was just plus infinity. There's nothing you could do. It was like, see, that was like I could see that being a misstep
Yeah, I know.
because
They had what Tekken, Vanilla Tekken 5. Steve was a nightmare. Of course, Tekken 4. Jin was a nightmare. But like hopefully, we'll see some better balancing in the future. We'll see.
well, I'm kind of like I said when it comes to Tekken 8, I'm a little disappointed that, like you said, they're walking back certain elements that they were really gung ho about. Because I think in the first build they had two heat bars, and I was like, yikes!
Yeah,
You could do it twice, but at the same, I think we'll see because
yeah,
they're toning it down. I still think the game is fun to watch. Like I've been watching a lot of Devilster. And I understand, like the one change that I was kind of weird about at first, but I'm kind of getting on board with because I see what they're going for when it comes to aggression, not the flashy shit, but the end of round interaction. Because the thing that made Tekken 7 boring to watch when you got to those final moments for people who don't understand the uninitiated, like we think it's
yeah,
amazing because we're like, holy shit, he fucking blocked Jin's down four when he could have,
yeah.
but for Tekken 8, that same interaction is more so like, hey, you have to survive. The more aggressive you get your health back, which means you can stay in the game, which adds makes more it makes it more engaging to watch. I
I
know we
hate
may
it.
not. I know you hate it, but I'm just saying, like, it's in terms of what they're going for, just in that particular part of the game, the final round, the final, instead of it just being like, it's actually like get in there, fucking
Yeah.
fight. you know.
Well,
So like I
I
can
kind of I don't like getting the life recovery aspect because I know I told you
Mhm.
I was watching the video actually of the main man and the clock was counting down. Of course,
Yeah.
if you don't play fighting games, whoever has the most life, whenever the clock counts down to zero, you win. But now, since you can get your life back, and there's like two ways to do it, like it's almost like it it matters, but it don't matter because main man was about to lose, and I think he went into heat, and he gave him all his little life back. I'm like, what? And then the countdown went to zero, and he won. It's like he
Yeah.
didn't do like some miraculous comeback to win. He just activated. He put the heat button, boot, and got
Yeah.
his life back. And I think another match I saw, like somebody was about to lose and time was running out, and he was being aggressive, just punching, kicking. He got that little bit of life back, and he started running. He got the fuck up on out of there and won the match. That's that. That's whack to me. That
Yeah.
concept. Now that I know that that's gonna be in the game, of course I'm gonna be using that shit too. But it's whack.
Well, it is whack, but I kind of this is one of those things I would like to see marinate for a while, because like that's like the immediate like as of right now, because just like in Tekken Tag 2, and this was something that I didn't catch on when I was playing it, but I thought was really interesting is like when you launch somebody, you would intentionally not kill them because of the mechanics in the game that would allow for them to have a comeback. It was a Netsu or something in Tag 2, the rage mechanic in that game.
Okay.
So what people would do is like once I knew dropping your health to a certain point would activate it, I would drop the combo. So that way you don't get it. Or I just wouldn't use a tag assault to automatically do it. Or I would use a tag assault immediately in the combo so that you use that resource early so I don't have to deal with it towards the end of the round. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to develop in this game because like you said, getting your health back is something that you would have to deliberately choose to do. Or do you choose to do it early? Do you hold it to the end of the round? Or when you launch somebody, do you intentionally drop the combo so they don't get recoverable health? Because they don't get recoverable health on the first launch. It's only when you hit them when they're airborne do that damage is recoverable.
Mm.
So I'm curious to see if there's going to be any interesting strategies built around that instead of just you know everyone fighting to get their health back. Because like let's say someone gets to the end of the round, but the other person has been playing in such a way that whatever health he could get back isn't viable because he's been picking at you the whole time. He's like, "Oh, if I launch you, you're gonna get your health back. So I'm just gonna, play safe. And if I do get a launcher, it's not gonna do so much damage to where you're gonna rely on that resource immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm
What
curious to
did
see how that might turn out.
what did Caveman J95 say? Fang Wei, my guy. Cheater.
Yeah.
Caveman J, cheating player.
He ain't no cheater. Fang Wei been cool since season one until main man opened his fucking mouth. If I was
Fang
a Fang Wei player, I would have been mad as hell, man. Like, dude,
Fang
shut
Wei
up.
is broken. He is so broken.
I'll just be finding characters to bitch about, man. Because like y'all didn't say nothing about this man until the dust was settled on Fakaram, Lydia, Leroy. These folks were over here running roughshod for months.
Bro, that's true. Like, I don't know what his like nerf. Um, I don't know what his nerfed. What got nerfed with him, but it just seemed like he been getting buffed like since the beginning, like little by little, creeping through the
Yeah.
patches.
But, I think that shoulder was one of them. And
What was wrong with the
also,
shoulder?
he was able to hit it at the wall, and it did like unscaled damage. Like it took chunks off of you at the wall. But another move I know they nerfed his. I think it was back one where he just like palm you. He'll
Yeah,
hit you, but you used to not be able to roll out of it, and they nerfed it by allowing you to roll out because at first he could do the palm and then get shoulder immediately after.
I thought it was like on counter hit. Like you hit it on counter hit, you can't
It,
roll.
it was,
Oh,
but they
okay,
changed it
really?
to where you can roll. You can roll no matter what.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, because
see.
it was such a quick move on counter hit. You get slapped, and then you get shoulder. But now, if you, whether it's counter hit or not, you can roll out of it.
Okay, I see.
But so it's not that big of a deal to me because it's like it got to the point to where they kept changing stuff, and this is something I kind of didn't like because this is one of the reasons why I stopped playing Street Fighter 4. It's like you guys keep changing the game. I'm doing all this hard work to learn this character, and you're undermining all of my effort with another patch. And it's like
Oh yeah.
I get
Oh
it,
yeah.
but
Like I
Jeez, every
said,
time I turn around.
that's what happened to me with Jen. Like they just patched him. He was still. Don't get me wrong. Jen is. He's still a great character. He's still a good character. But man, it's just every season. It's like they were just. I felt like they were just targeting him. Like every season, man. And I just
Yeah,
couldn't take it no more. I couldn't play no more, man. I got tired of that. The patch
yeah,
culture.
yeah. Because back in Tekken 6 and Tag 2, what you learned was what carried you, and you didn't rely on a patch to either fix something or adjust something. Cause even though like for Armor King, I liked a lot of the stuff that they were adding and changing, but it got to a point where it's like, dude, like, can we just get another game? You guys
Yeah,
keep adding and taking away from his move
boy,
list, like,
they milked Tekken 7 to the moon, boy. They was making that game so hard.
man, that's what happens when the game get too popular. It's like we got to capitalize, we got to do something. And there are some people still asking for another season. It's like, bro, let this game die, man. Like, holy shit! Like, I love this game. Don't get me wrong, but for fuck's sake, we're gonna be on. This gonna be the last Tekken. you know.
Well, let me ask you this: What are your? I know Street Fighter 6 has been out for a while now. Uh,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts on that game?
Uh, Indifference. Like, it's not bad, but it's not to my liking. Like,
Mm.
I like it, but only from a this is better than 5 type. It's
You don't
not
have
as
to.
good
Well,
as
you don't have to do that much to top five though.
yeah, but it's not as good as 4. To me, it's poor fight. It's poor man Street Fighter 4 because like the drive impact is basically a watered down focus attack. The drive rush is a watered down FADC, and I just don't like the. It's too streamlined. Street Fighter 4. I understand was streamlined compared to Third Strike, but things like what do you call it? High execution barrier was very unique to Street Fighter 4,
Mm.
and I like the combo system in Street Fighter 6, but it's the things that are kind of like across the board for every character. It just seems samey. Everyone plays kind of the same now, where you have to drive rush in. It's such a reliable thing for everybody. Whereas in Street Fighter 4, it was like it complemented certain characters in different ways. It wasn't utilized the
Mm.
same way for every single character.
Yeah,
So yeah, like it's a good game. I just don't really. I'm not really attracted to it in that
yeah.
way. Maybe if they bring Makoto and she's fun to play, but even then, I'm just like, they're probably gonna make
Well,
her a man or some shit.
well, the game, the game looks awesome. It looks
Mm.
cool. Me personally, I just don't like the Street Fighter 6 system. I don't like that using your resources puts you in a bad spot. So
Mm.
you're using your drive gauge. Is that what it's called? A drive gauge.
Yeah.
You're using your drive gauge, and once it gets down to zero, you go into burnout. Well, between you using your drive gauge and your opponent hitting you on block and draining your drive gauge, is putting you in burnout. So it's like using your resources get you close to dying and losing the game. Um, Now I've seen like certain people who don't really care about that because they think that their skills can kind of get them out of burnout, so they just
Yeah.
use it willy nilly. I see a lot of top players do that, but a lot of people I see getting killed in burnout, just getting thrashed, and I don't like. I just don't like that. It seems like you're getting penalized, for playing the game.
Yeah,
You know,
it seems artificial. It doesn't feel like an earned. Uh, I'd like the idea of burnout the way it is in older games where you just get outplayed instead of like now that you're in this situation, you just are not allowed to defend yourself, and it's like I normally wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be allowed to defend myself if I was like playing fast and loose with my EX meter, because that's my reversal. But now I lose that and I get penalized for trying to defend myself. It just seems kind of like I know what you mean. It just
It's
seems
yeah,
artificial. It's
yeah,
not earned.
it's like in King of Fighters, whatever media you get, you use it. You're not penalized for using it unless the player counterplays whatever you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, but other than that,
And
using your resources doesn't kill you.
that's the old school way. It's like your only penalty is not having anything to rely on for a reversal. Like now you actually have to, you know, play carefully because you don't have a EXDP or EX teleporter move, whatever character that might have. You have to place your moves very carefully and be cautious because you threw it all away. Just like in
Yeah,
Street Fighter 4, where like Makoto, that's why I liked her so much because she didn't have, even with her EX, she didn't have an option. Like she had the EX grab, but if you whiffed, you died.
yeah,
So it's like, or the EX overhead Orochi. Yeah, but it comes out too slow. It's not instant like a wake up Shoryuken where you can like get up, do that EX cancel out of it to make yourself safer. Like if I did it, I had to commit.
yeah,
So it forces you to be more wary, even if you have resources. Don't rely on it so much to otherwise you have that character. That character's strength becomes your weakness as a player.
yeah,
But in Street Fighter 6, it's just like, well, you're
yeah,
tired.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like the game looks awesome, man. It's probably one of the best looking Street Fighters. You
Oh
know.
yeah, it is lovely. I love looking at it, especially these female characters. Oh boy,
Yeah,
they're the best they've ever been.
it's like they definitely did some correcting from 5 to 6. It's like, man,
Yeah,
5 is kind of trash. We need to do something with this 6, and they definitely made some improvements.
yeah.
So I don't want to. It's like I don't want to knock the game too hard, but
Well, at the end of it, I still think it's a good game. Like I personally don't like it more than 4, but in terms of like a game, as far as content and what you can do in it, it's solid.
yeah,
I I'd buy it. Like I did buy it. That's why I'm gonna buy Tekken 8 because Tekken 8, just outside of the fighting part, there's a lot of stuff in there that I think would justify its cost. It's not
yeah,
like Mortal Kombat 1 where it's like I don't think there's hardly anything in that game outside of its because most of their budget went to that mid as fuck story mode. And
yeah. It is, but I still think it's cool. Um, I still think it's cool.
yeah, it is cool. I'm not paying $70 for it.
it's
I'm
it's not $70 cool.
Yeah, Tekken 8 maybe $70 cool, but it's making me think it's like, all right. The only reason why I'm, more geared is because like I like Tekken, and it's like, if I can find it cheaper, I will. Because 70, I'm not prepared to pay $70 for a digital game. That's some bullshit. Like, if I'm gonna pay $70, you better give me a sticker or something. Because
I
man,
always wondered that with digital games, like why they cost full price where you don't even get anything. It seemed like they should
well,
be cut in half or something. Like, okay, you're not getting the disc, you're not getting the case, you're not getting any paperwork. You know why?
well,
Why
I know the reason.
$70?
I know the reason why.
What's that?
It's console players. It's y'all fault.
Console players. Don't you bring console players, these
it,
heavenly
it,
angel
it,
console players who do nothing wrong.
it genuinely is, man. You want to know why? Because for the longest time on PC, digital games were cheaper just by default because that was the concept behind digital games. But what type of consumer will come in and pay whatever price for whatever game, regardless of if it's digital or not? console players. As soon as that shit opened up to the console market, y'all were like $60, okay, and then they were like, "Well, we could charge full price for this shit." Make it a blanket across the board. Every game is $60, no matter what. And sure enough, because the thing was, the reason why games on consoles cost more is because you actually got the fucking game. Like on the PC, there was no physical version of a game. Like we did, but the appeal of PC was that because we have we can we can manipulate our drive capacity easier than you could on a console. It made sense for us to like, yeah, okay, we don't really care to get the physical copy, but as a result, our game is cheaper. But on console, you guys got the book, the case, the actual game, and you own the game. No one can take it from you. And then 7th gen turned into what it did. Then 8th gen, then these consoles became more PC-like. And then before you know it, now you got a PS5 without a disc tray. You still spend $70 on a game.
Terrible. Terrible. I don't know, man. I think some of these PC players doing the same, man. Because
yeah, now because these console players bought a PC.
I think the PC players are like paying the price too. I don't think it's just the console people.
I mean, we're all paying the price now, but I'm saying that's how it started because back then there was no. And I was a console player too. Like I bought everything new, and I didn't care for like the specifics. But PC players were very anal about that stuff because when things happened to them, like they would affect the market in such a way that the the distributors would be like, okay, we're not gonna do that because these guys are really fucking pain in the ass about it. But these console guys aren't gonna say shit. We know they're not going to say shit because they still haven't said shit, and we've been robbing them blind for like a whole generation and a half now. So
yeah,
fuck it. That's why they got the balls to come out with the Xbox One when they did, and we already talked about that.
Yeah, I will say, man, like on Steam and like some of the console sales be really, really good, man. 50% off and 75% off.
Well, see,
pretty good deals.
That's what I meant. That's the digital advantage that PC had because we were talking about that years ago. Like there are no sales like that on console. There were recently, but like back then it was like no. The only discount y'all got was whatever GameStop gave you, if they gave you one. Yep. And if you did get a discount, you had to pay them for the online, like Xbox Live or PlayStation Network to get access to those deals, which undermines completely beside the point. It's like it's not a deal if I have to pay you to get it. Like fucking, it's just like Cross said, console players converted to PC but haven't updated their mindset. They treat PCs like consoles. And that's why games still cost $60, $70 brand new digital. So, because everyone's a PC player now.
Except me, even though I have a PC. I have a PC and don't play on PC. I done bought almost everything on PC, but the good old PlayStation back there treats me well.
Console mindset.
Even though it abuses me every now and then.
Don't worry, that brand new PlayStation 5 connect to the internet for your disc tray to work will take care of you.
Hell no.
He'll abuse you more, but he'll take care of you.
Make sure to get that previous version because I don't like that. I can't do that.
Oh man, like I said, dude, it's over. Like the only way out of this shit is if we make and supplant a separate console that's completely uninvolved with the current industry.
Yeah.
No Sony, no Nintendo, no Microsoft, nothing.
I think eventually, those companies are gonna scream and squiggle and snake their way into that too. Eventually.
Only if people allow them, because I'm waiting for the crash, because it's getting to a point to where gaming is going to be too expensive to keep as a hobby, and the average Joe gamer isn't going to be willing to spend $80 for a base game, because like we're on the way there. If you look at games like Mortal Kombat 1, it's like, dude, this game is you can see why the game costs $70, but you aren't playing a $70 game. It's all icing, it's all dressing, and it's not worth it. And
Dang.
imagine that across every game. Like Forspoken is literally Mortal Kombat 1 because it looks so pretty, but the game is kind of mid. Like, but it looks so. Look at all these graphics that we've dumped millions of dollars in. The engine, the physics, the high fidelity, realistic, unreal bullshit. It's like, can I just get
That's
my
funny.
fucking Shovel Knight shit? Like,
It reminds me. Did you see the Sindel mix up unblockable with Jax?
no, I haven't. There's a
Yeah, so there's a new technique with Sindel and Jax to where like she can hit you and reset and get the unblockable and combo you like a whole bunch of times in a row. It's crazy. It's pretty cool to see, but like in tournament, oh my god.
I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but it doesn't seem like something that it just seems so Mortal Kombat to me because
It
the
is.
minute I saw that Jax had an unblockable ground and pound, I was like, you
Yep.
don't have to be like a expert player to kind of know the utility that it has in theory, and it's because at first it was Cyrax and what's his name, Cyrax and Clawman.
Baraka.
Yeah,
Baraka.
Cyrax and Baraka. And just like we said, we supposed to jump in there so quick and ready to patch a nerf. And then what happened? You squash one squash one bug, another one shows up. And it's like see it's just gonna keep happening. Because the only reason that Sindel and Jax thing happened is because that person played with Cyrax and Baraka. And you took that away from him. So he just went over here and found another one. And so you're gonna squish that, and then so that same guy is gonna he probably already knows what they all are. He's just not gonna play tournaments until you take it from him. And it just kind of goes to show like the amount of play testing, like you guys really just you're relying on the internet to save your game because back then you didn't have this backup. But I don't know, whatever. It's
Yeah,
it's it's the current
it's
industry.
it's so funny, dude. It is so funny.
I'm trying to look it up. What is
Well,
says
I know I saw it
Sindel.
on the Rooflamonger video.
Oh, okay. Oh man, new Sindel technique is too powerful. Ban debate to begin. This is like, wow, this was 9 hours ago, so this was literally today.
Yeah.
That's
It's
so
funny,
funny.
dude. It's cold though. It's cold, but it's cheap. It's cheap. I wish the sound was playing so you can like hear them talk about it. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I think the sound will play on your end. It won't play on mine, but it may play on yours. So if you want to share it, we can look at it,
Okay, let me see.
and I'll just watch it over here. That is so funny. It's an unlikely character, Sindel. I didn't think she was busted in this game, but with
Well, I
those,
think she had something else. She had something else, right? But that I think they patched that too.
mm,
See if I can share this screen. Mm, I don't know. It's not popping up. So I don't know. Let me see something. Okay, there we go.
And welcome, Ufomonger, my friends. Here we are yet again with another piece of potentially broken Mortal Kombat 1
Can you
tech.
hear? Hey, Josh, can you hear?
Hey, some Cindel
Yeah,
stuff, and Cindel's been a naughty lady in the past. She's had some stuff that had me out of the game, like her Unblockable Infinite, right? So that sucked. It happened. It's gone. But here we are now with a new piece of tech that's debatably bannable.
You had to have the Infinite patched out
yeah, I remember the Infinite.
already.
That's what it was.
That's crazy.
Let's put it that way. So I learned this from our pals over at Rips Arena. This actually happened during one of their tournaments. And they made a flash call mid-tournament to ban this tech. So I'll show you a tweet and clip here that kind of sparked all this. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. I just wanted to test you.
That happens. I'm always ready, you know? Wait, the Jacks. Yo, that was a reset. Check. Camera's on. Another reset. Check. What is going on? He's gonna kill him.
Resets. Into reset. Into more resets.
Bring the camera.
Wow, that's funny.
Bro, it's so crazy. And then Rufamonger, he goes on to kind of say that like it's really it's easy to do. It's not like something that like that's really hard. So did you want to see the rest of the video?
No, I'll watch it
Or
later.
you want to move
I
on?
just wanted to see like
Okay.
how it worked, and that's hilarious.
Yeah.
it's
It
it's
is.
yeah. I guess what's more surprising is that that's why I think someone already had this, but they've just played with Cyrex. So like this is just their backup. It could, and that's sad, man. Banned in mid tournament, like that's the problem,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, I've never heard of that. Something getting banned like mid tournament. Usually, like they'll win or something, and then the tournament is over, and somebody will go back and say, "Oh well, you can't use this." But mid tournament, it had to be like really, really crazy.
Yeah, but like, do you see how this just creates the culture of always needing to be online in order for a game to function? Like this is kind of like the issue I have because on the surface it looks like, oh, this is good. They can quickly address it and fix it and blah blah blah. But again, the whole this like it's easy for us to think like, hey, this is something you guys should have caught early, right? If you're gonna have a feature like cameo fighters, balancing in terms of like what you're able to get away with should have been a priority, so that stuff like this couldn't happen. At least not this excessively, because this is like the game only been out a month. Like, well, not maybe a little more than a month, but even then, like when the first week or so it came out, people found the Cyrex shit, and that was the only. It stopped being called Mortal Kombat 1, and it was called Cyrex and Friends. So
Well, I'm gonna say this. They kind of wanted the game to be free, so they want you to have tools to do different things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. So I think they kind of knew that making the game as loose and free as it is, there was going to be crazy stuff like this. Kind of like in Marvel. Marvel got some of the craziest stuff we've ever seen in fighting games.
yeah.
But the cameos and things like that make the game kind of interesting to where you can do different things. So I kind of like that they had the system like this, and kind of let players experiment, and then if it's just way too powerful, take it out the game.
Yeah, but that's the problem though. Like I think something like this would be like that type of attitude would be more reasonable for a more mature audience. Like you're putting a lot of faith in because I think it's like that. They did this on purpose, but for the
Mhm.
express reason to justify constantly going back in the game to make it something that's relied online. Because I think if you have like a proper Q&A testing before, like, if we had like the same level of testing before, like in games back in 6th gen, a lot of this shit would have been hammered out already. Like, you would have had to actually work hard to find something busted. But now any Tom, Dick, and Jane can find some busted shit, and then that'll, well, here we come. We got to come in here and patch the patch police. You know,
Well,
it's
I think with every fighting game, there's always going to be like this lab monster that's constantly trying to figure out things with the game. Um, Especially in this day and age where it's a social media age where somebody finds out something and then they can spread it all over the world in a matter of minutes or hours.
yeah,
So
but that's all the more reason why it should be at this point like the way it should be now, with because of how accessible this stuff is. That should be taken into account when developing the game. Like, do you know who Check is?
no, I don't know who that is.
All right, so Check is like a desk.
Yeah, I
Desk.
know who Desk is.
He's like the desk of Mortal Kombat games. He does
Okay.
the exact same ridiculous shit, but in Mortal Kombat games. So he knows how to do a combo that'll kill you 100% every time. And it's not
Mm,
just for this Mortal Kombat. He's been doing it for every Mortal Kombat, back in Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat Gold, all that shit. He is
dang.
the MK combo guy. And we all know about him. If you like Mortal Kombat, just because we said the same thing about Desk back in Marvel 3,
Yeah.
back in Street Fighter 4, it's just like Capcom knows if somebody of this level exists, he would be perfect for play testing the game to find this type of shit so that you don't have to come back and patch something, or a tournament isn't, you know, halted or affected because of a oversight that your team made. Like, yeah, I understand it's reasonable to understand that developers aren't necessarily as good at the game as people who play it, because their job is to make the game. They're not going to be able to pull this shit off. They just put the rules in place and then have an AI do it. But obviously, you want a person to do it so that a person is going to have the mentality to actually push this to its limits.
Yeah, they
And
can do stuff outside of the box or think of things outside of the box.
yeah, and those are the type of people I would think you would want to test your game so that things like this can be mitigated. Like, I'm not saying it's a surefire way to stop any and all types of fuckery,
Yeah.
but if Check or someone to the level of him or Desk played this game before it came out, like before the patches, let's say 4 months before release, this could be the day one patch, the Desk patch or the Check patch, where they gave them access to the game. It was like, look, we know you about this shit because it's the social media age. Everyone sees you. Everyone talks about you. We see you. And so we got this game right here, and we want it to be freeform, but we don't want it to be busted. You can you have to compromise. So we're going to send you a copy of the game, and we're going to let you find whatever you can with whatever, because you clearly love this game so much where you would do it. You would be that obsessive. And I would rather pay him to find 75% of the busted shit that would have been found out in the first month of release, once you release it to the public, off of him, because that'd be that much less patchwork required from you, because patches cost money. And that
Mm,
developer, spends all that money. And the issue with the gaming industry is money. It's too much money flowing around for things that aren't really being pushed to further enhance the gaming experience for the consumer. We're just
yeah.
footing the bill in the form of not getting shit, paying more for the base game, and not even owning the game at the end of it. So there are ways that this could be mitigated that I don't think is rocket science. Like, if they really wanted to, they could have had a lot of this stuff figured out, because especially,
Mm,
they have a history of it. Like Mortal Kombat 9, ever since they came back with 9, it's like,
yeah.
dude,
I
y'all this
think
game busted.
uh I think that this game is a different type of Mortal Kombat game, and I think they're stepping into a uh, area of gaming that is kind of new to them. Like as far as like the cameos goes, so there's almost an infinite amount of stuff that you can really do with this system. So I think that they could hire someone like a Des or a Check, but with all of the possibilities that you have at your disposal, it's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna
Well,
be hard
it
because I don't think any other Mortal Kombat game was like this. I think they might have had something like really small in MK11 where they had like the tag like thing, but it was more like a game or something like that.
mhm.
Um, but this cameo system is just insane. The possibilities are just too much, in
Well,
my
but
opinion.
it is, but that's something I think they understood because you're when you're building a game like this from the ground up, you kind of already have an idea of what could be possible, especially with what you allow the player to get away with when it comes to how long it takes to call out a cameo, what they do, and the nature of the game.
And,
So I don't
and
think it would have been a bad idea for them to do something like get somebody like
and
Check on board.
and see, I think you know they wanted players to figure out shit like this.
Mm.
I think they wanted them to just have a sandbox to do whatever they want to do and find the cheapest stuff you can find. And here we are.
Yeah, like
So
player was going to do that anyway. But like I said, I to me it's more negative than positive because it justifies you constantly going in here and patching the game. And now, like I'm talking, that's where the argument for why can't you get a PS5 Slim? Why do you care that it has to connect to the internet? Because every game does this now. Because if the game needs patchwork, you don't get to use the excuse of what if I don't have internet anymore? Because now every game is relying on it so much so that you don't have a choice. Like now you're the asshole for being mad about you know something trivial like having to connect to the internet to play games.
see,
You
I
see,
think
so
yeah, this is just a theory for me. Um, I think that there are certain metrics that they can
mm,
measure with their games with like players connected. How many
yeah,
people are playing, win rate, character usage, things like that. I think those are stats and things that they want to, use to in the future to improve their game. Like I remember, did you ever watch Harada's Bar?
a few of them, yeah,
I remember there was an episode where he was pretty much talking about how they can see what the character usage is online and what characters are popular, what characters are winning more, you know. So even though a character might be the strongest in the game, he's not winning as much as, the lowest character in the game, the Bears or whoever's getting picked the least. So I think there's a lot of stats that they can use with players being online. Uh, but I think, me personally, I think that's why they want players online all the time.
well, partially, but my thing is like the industry could I honestly think that the industry still could have flourished even with this advent of online if it was done in good faith. A lot of the problems we have is because they're done in, bad faith. It's for the sole purpose of making money
Yeah.
because we have access to so many things to where this really shouldn't be a problem with how much information we have because the amount of information we have they also have, so it's not like someone's like losing here. Back in
Mhm.
the day, the only disadvantage was that we have no way of knowing and there's no way to go back and fix this stuff. A proper uh upgrade, in my opinion, would be like, okay, so we have the internet, right? And using this tool, we have access to so much data that it should make it difficult to mess up to this degree. So, especially when we know that there are people out here that can run through this game way harder than any of our AI bots could pull off. So, let's go back to Marvel 3. Because Marvel 3 had two versions. They had Marvel 3 and Ultimate Marvel 3. And a lot of the stuff that was fixed in Ultimate Marvel was still found out because, the game is mostly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, if the goal is for the game to be like that and you don't really care to patch it up at all, fine. You've already decided, like, hey, this is just going to be some cheap, crazy shit. I want fairness, competitive viability be damned. I want this shit to be like whoever gets touched first wins. Or if you're like, I want to make a competitive esports, let's say you want your game to be viable on that level. You want it to be as fair as it can possibly be. You want it to go through the esports circuit, and you want people to really take advantage of the appeal of your game in this new era of competitive sport gaming. Why wouldn't you spare that extra expense to make sure that this isn't something you have to constantly come back to over and over? Because Tekken, I think, was closer to that. It didn't have it as bad as something like this, but you notice how detrimental that was when Leroy first showed up. What happened?
Busted.
That was a
Straight
failure. Evo Japan was a failure. Everybody played Leroy, not because he was the cool new character that everyone was just interested in. People just wanted to win. And how can you take esports seriously when something like that can just happen? It ain't like basketball where, Michael Jordan was born and he was just the best player ever and there was nothing you could do to stop him. That was his skill. He developed that skill. This is just some cheap busted shit. And if I'm trying to take esports seriously and I'm doing all this training just to go get fucking mollywopped by a busted gimmick by Sindel and Jax, there's nothing I could have done.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not fair. Just like at Evo Japan, it's like, hey, people who respected this gym player as a gym player threw his morals to the side just so he could fucking win with Leroy. And it's like,
I was so pissed. Yeah,
it's like, that's
like
not fun.
every time a gym player does that, I'd be mad. Because like I said, I'll go back to the main man thing. Main man say Jin the best character in the game, but when it's time to win, he is nowhere to be found unless it's just a Jin loyalist. But
and to me, that's the issue when it comes to gaming in general, but even in a competitive sense, because gaming was better competitively when it was underground and less sanctioned. But you don't get to have all these new rules and sanctions, and this shit still slides by, and we still have to pay and play and lose access, and it's like it's a raw deal for the consumer, because again, these people are the ones pushing esports. They want esports to be the big thing, but how could it be taken seriously when infinites and stuff like this that's clearly unfair, that's going to get banned or at least get someone to side eye you? It's like, you really doing that, bro? It's like, I'm not even that good at this game. All I needed was a fucking mix up.
yeah,
or an opportunity to hit you. And this game is so busted, like, because Mortal Kombat has always had this thing where a character would hit you with a move and then you just go and you able to get hit for 30 minutes. And it's like, I got all the time in the world. At least in Marvel 3, if you drop a combo, you die. It's like, yeah, you touch me, you die. But if you fucking drop the combo, you die. But on here, it's like, yikes. Yeah, dude.
Again, it's ugly. It's ugly out here in these fighting game streets.
Yep, not like it was back in the day. There was a moral code back then. Now it's just like wait for the developers to wipe your ass after you shit the bed. It's like,
Yep.
I made a whoopsie. Ed Boon, please come save me. Harada, stop this. This isn't fair, Harada. It's like, dude, play the fucking game, you whiny bitch. You guys are whining more about this. Like, I thought games were supposed to be enjoyed. You can't enjoy shit now because everybody's a critic who thinks they know how to balance a game they never even fucking touched the code for.
Yeah.
And then you
Too
got
ugly.
the Cyberpunk.
Don't you talk? Don't you talk about my Cyberpunk?
Man, came out busted. It's like, yeah, you bought the game and had to wait 3 years to play it. It's like,
so I was working for a game store company at the time when it dropped.
Is this a place where you'd have to stop by to get these games?
Yes, it is a place where you have to stop by. But man, when that game dropped, man, people were so pissed. They were so mad. I remember the company was giving out refunds for the game, and man, we got so many Cyberpunk returns. Our drawers was like stocked with Cyberpunk. It was crazy.
Yeah, the amount of money they spent promoting that shit. Ain't no telling how much they paid Keanu Reeves to check this out. It's like so whack, dude. It's like,
yeah, he definitely should have spent more time on it, but of course, deadlines and money make people want to get stuff out and rush it out.
Yeah, gotta get that initial sale, man, because they care more about pulling in that initial. Because there's gonna be a percentage of people who just don't trade it in. They're gonna be like, well, fuck it, I don't care. And I'm like, yep, that's all justification they need to keep doing this shit.
Yeah, man.
It's like, especially now that you can't even return games. Like, everything digital now. Like, what you gonna return? The code? It has no value.
I wonder if I've been playing this Codes of Trial still. That joint is kind of whack. I'm gonna try to see if I can return it on this PlayStation. Might be too late.
The funny thing is, like, when it comes to PC, like, Steam has a refund option for digitally purchased games.
Yeah, I think if you play only so many hours, you can return it.
Yeah, notice what platform doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm about to see what the return policies are on the PlayStation Network. But there probably are none.
Like, if you even have it to begin with. Because I remember when like Steam first released that, of course, all the PC guys were dunking on the console guys about it. And my thing is like, this isn't really something we want to make fun of, because like back then, a lot of PC guys were they were assholes because they wanted people to care, and a lot of the console players just didn't care. Like, they just buy shit and it'd be like whatever. And I'm like, if you reward this type of stuff, it's only going to expand. And sure enough, like, the consumer gets fucked so much, and people are like, oh, consumer rights advocacy groups, like, you didn't need that. Your consumer rights only supposed to matter to the person that bought the game, and you didn't want to be taken advantage of. Like, because remember Fallout 76? I don't know if you remember that, hearing about that.
That's the online version of Fallout, right?
Yep. And that game was in stores, but when you went to the store to buy it, it was just a code in the box.
Oh yeah. Hey, like I said, when I was working for like a particular game store, folks would be mad. They'd be like, "Where's the game at?" And they get that little slip of paper, like, "Oh, you have to put in the code, ma'am, online." Like, what?
You can't return it. After you pay, like, there's nothing you can give us. Like, what are you going to give us? The case? The case isn't worth $60. Like, you just sold me this for $60. Like, I know.
Yep.
Oh,
same thing with those like the Fortnite updates. It's just a case with a damn piece of paper in it.
Yep,
it's like the most deceptive thing ever.
Yep, and the same people keep falling for it. And like I said, the problem with the gaming industry, like the industry is full of these people. See, it wasn't like that back in the day. Back then, people who gamed cared so much about gaming, but as soon as the bubble burst, and now gaming's for everyone. Everyone can be a gamer. This is why you got to protect your hobby as if your life depends on it. Because so many of our favorite games died in this transition. And it's like nothing's getting better. You can't look at this industry and tell me it's better than it was 2 generations ago. Like just because we have the internet don't mean shit. The internet made it worse. Even though the internet, if used properly, could have been like glorious. Could you imagine digital games being cheaper and you had the option to return them? Like that was just the norm across the board. Like, hey, and if you wanted the physical game, like, yeah, it's more expensive, but everyone understands that they're getting something, more. Like
Yeah.
Now it's a decision as to whether, like, yeah, we don't sell as many, but you have the choice instead of it just being forced upon you one way or the other. The only thing they would have to do, they would save money by just kind of paring back how many physical copies they print, which in turn would make the game more valuable because not that many were made.
Yeah.
Because if you look at a lot of games on the PS2 and stuff, they $200 fucking dollars. God Hand is $230. Like, holy shit. And it's
Yeah.
like, why wouldn't you want that? That's power in your hand as a consumer that you now have. Whatever.
Yeah, it's
If
crazy,
I want to
man.
get into stocks and bonds, it's like you could have played stocks and bonds with game and shit if you just kept your original copy of the games. But,
I
but piracy,
I
Josh.
I do both. I do both.
Well, but it's just a theory. But my piracy, yeah,
Well,
it is
man,
what it is.
I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and call it a night, man.
All right, good show as always.
Yeah,
Next time
man, I
I'm
had
gonna try
fun.
to, yeah. Next time I want to try to get ahead of it by making the thumbnail and getting our topics together. Because yeah, today was kind of a little rushed. I was tired. I had to replace my desk, and that kind of wore me out. I'm old and tired now.
Oh, so you replaced the whole thing?
Oh, yep. I have a riser now instead of like the office
Oh,
desk.
I got
But
a friend that has one of those. Those are pretty cool.
the funny thing is though,
What's that?
because I got all my computers on it, it won't rise. It's too heavy.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
That would have made me mad, man.
I mean,
Put all
I could still do it, but it's kind of my fault. I got 3 monitors hooked to a tri-monitor holder and 2 50-pound computers sitting on each end. So it's like,
The real question is, are you going to use like the riser and not sit down? Like, are you going to stand up and do stuff?
yeah, that's why I wanted. That's why I put this green screen back here, like the full wall one. So when I do videos and stuff, I don't want to sit down. I can still make it rise. I just have to be careful since I got like 200 pounds of shit on the disc. I got to hold the disc and help push it up in order to get it to go up.
I don't know, Josh. Once you get off of work, man, it might be over. You probably be sitting down like you are now.
I got to do it now because I'm about to be moving soon. So I got to make sure I pedal to the metal now. I have the incentive to light a fire under my ass because if I don't, I'm gonna be homeless, and I don't want to do that. I gotta have a place for my cool computer shit.
Well, I'm pretty sure everything's gonna turn out fine.
Oh yeah, me too. I can't wait. I'm excited. I needed this.
Okay.
The hell?
Well,
Yeah.
when is the next show, man?
Well, you want to do Wednesday? I think you said Wednesday was good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I'll try to make a show. We'll do every like two times a week, Wednesdays and Sundays. Try to make that a usual thing.
Now, what time? What time we gonna do it?
I'd like to start earlier. Like I said, today kind of my fault. I was tired. But do you want to, like, what time? What's the earliest you'd like to do it?
I'm off every Sunday and I'm off every Wednesday, so it don't even matter.
All right. Well, let's make it a midday show between 12 and 1.
Sounds good to me, brother.
Yep. So,
All
like,
right, well, I gotta get up in a couple of hours for work, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn in. Great show as always, and appreciate you having me on.
yeah,
And
thank you
I'm
for
looking forward
stopping
to the
by.
next. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode.
All right, man. Me too. Sounds good. In the meantime, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I am your Mortal Afro Josh. This is H3 the Game. And we'll see you on the next upload. Peace. And make sure gaming stays niche. However you say it. Till next
Nietzsche.
time. Nietzsche.
Peace.
Till next time, y'all. Peace.